Hey, it's Jeremy from jeremy.net. So for this video, I need to give a shout out to comic creator and color artist John Eric for recommending that I do this topic. In my previous video, I mentioned that I wish I had been using these articulated action figures for proportion reference for when I had been drawing my layouts for the most recent issue of Morningstar. Well, John recommended I go into a little bit more detail of how exactly I am using them. So here we go. So here we're looking at a page from the current issue, issue 6 of Morningstar, that I'm inking right now. And I enlarge my rough layouts, and I convert them to a light blue color, and I print them out on Bristol board with panel borders. And as you can see in this page, we've got a one character, Remiel, and she's got blood that's kind of pouring out of her hand. She sliced her palm, cut it open. They're kind of doing a little bit of a blood sacrifice, blood magic thing. And standing next to her is Uriel, just watching her warily doing this. Now, when I looked at it, her wrist just looks funny to me, her arm, her body posture. It's not that it's a horrible drawing, it's just awkward. And in my goal to make each issue better and better, trying to use all the tools that I have at my disposal. Now, these figures are made by a company called SH Fig Arts, and I will include a link to them in the description for this video. And when I bought them, the figures were around $30 each. There's one male figure, one female figure. I do need to warn you that the price has gone up. I don't know if it's because they do a limited production run of these figures, but for whatever reason, now I find them online going for $70, $80 plus per figure, sometimes up to $100 per figure now. So I'm sure eventually they'll do another run, and hopefully they'll be able to make them more available at lower prices. But it's not like you have to go out and get these particular figures. You could use a fully articulated action figure that you have. You could take one, even sand it down and paint it. You could get an art store mannequin. I don't know how well their articulation, from my memory and from the art store mannequins that I've had, their articulation doesn't make them as posable as these figures. But again, if you're on a budget, maybe you don't want to spend that kind of money. Hell, maybe you're all digital and you want to just use Poser and pose figures that way. I always say by hook or by crook, whatever tools you need to make the art that you want to make, that's what you use. They're about, I guess, maybe 6 inches tall. About the size of like a G.I. Joe, a contemporary G.I. Joe action figure, not like the classic 12-inch figures. And they come with a fair amount of accessories, a stand that holds them, also there's stuff that comes with. And she does not come with the little poncho that she's wearing. I made that because Remiel wears a poncho in the comic, and I wanted to also have a little bit of clothing drapery. So the first step is actually posing the figure in the position that's similar to what is in the comic page. The next thing I did was I positioned a light. I turned off the light that was using previously, and I tried to light her from the angle that she's lit in the comic page, and then just adjusted the figure a little bit more, to try and once I had her lit the way I wanted, in the right pose, then I was moving my phone, which I was using as a camera, to try and get myself into a position of the angle that the image was taken at. And it's supposed to be just a little bit below Remiel's eye level. So her fist is supposed to be about an eye level, which is almost kind of at the center of the camera frame. So you're a little bit below that angle. And that's pretty close to what I wanted in the page. So now we go back and we look at the comic page, and I went back in and began drawing over my rough layouts now in regular graphite pencil, and just went in and first sort of blocked in the pose, then roughed in the details. Now the drawing that I have here is pretty much what I would use in the comic like what I would do in my rough layouts. It's just that it's done in graphite instead of being done in the light blue because it's an addition to it. But I don't do particularly tight pencils. They're pretty rough. So this is about the level of finish that I have before I go to inking. And just in the difference, I've got her body at a better angle. The wrist looks a little bit more, well, it looks more like a hand as opposed to just a lump there. So I'm surprised just in terms of how simple these figures are, how they still give a lot of detail in terms of the hands. And this is just all little bits of things that I'm trying to do going forward, using more of reference, not to be photorealistic, but just to make the comics convincing. Because I'm not a photorealistic artist, and it would be foolish for me to pursue that, given that it's just not my natural inclination. But there's a difference between being photorealistic and creating something that creates a sense of a coherent universe that actually feels like it's a believable universe within itself, as opposed to just having stuff that, just that isn't drawn as well. So, going forward in the future, I'll be doing more of using these figures to correct pages that aren't necessarily coming out well. Also trying to take more photos of my own actual hands and using more hand reference, because I've been paying more attention to, or actually I've been noticing that my hands in pages might have interesting poses, but structurally don't really look like hands. So I'm trying to make the hands more convincing, the heads, the poses, and proportion, and these figures are a tremendous help. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please like and share them. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter to get a free digital comic at newsletter.jeremy.net. That's newsletter.gerimi.net. Also, visit my main website, jeremy.net, where you can buy my comic books, art prints, and more. There's also links to my Instagram, Twitter, and other social media accounts. That's it for now. Go be creative.